Okay, so now we're live. So hello everyone. So let's start this panel. My name is Mauricio Prazac. I'm from Brazil. That we have here. And we'll be talking a little bit about how technology can facilitate access for international markets, especially to small and medium enterprises. And so for us not to take so long, I will start already calling one of the speakers, which this one is a huge friend of mine, which is Mili Voj. He's the founder CEO of Atrongate. And so, Mili, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing and a little bit what we want to share on this topic.
Okay, my name is Mili Voj Batista. As Mauricio already said before, we are friends. And as well, the 30 and around is, of course, Jitin. So a long time. We're all together working on these solutions. The other two gentlemen, I studied a little bit. So it's a great pleasure being with you here and sharing this wonderful time, and as well as I see it as an important time. I mean, what I'm doing is my job is project management. I'm connecting networks with special interests. We are working on projects with small and medium enterprises, but as well social media platforms, communication channels, gaming platforms, certification, schooling, connecting as well universities, art. That's why it's especially cool to see you here, and I'm so curious to hear your part. That's a part I'm working on, and I have the great pleasure as well having you guys as well chatting with me, who are enabling us to do what we need to do for our clients and projects. And this is a great thing working with Akubits Technologies because we are in the front line. We are meeting people on a day-to-day basis, and especially now in the COVID time as well, like we work with the IBREI Institute. We're meeting people and we see how the medium and small enterprises, and that's my theme for today, how they try to enter the market or re-enter the market, and how important they are for the market. I mean, they're much more important than these super giants we see everywhere. Of course, they have more power and more money, but the economy is not held by 3 big companies. They're sold by the 5 million smaller companies, for example, in Brazil, or the 30 millions in India. They're making the market, and we are always paying the attention what are the big guys doing, and do forget how important the smaller companies are. And on my part, my job is to find solutions how we can make it as easy as possible to enable these people joining the world markets, like building trust through certification processes, building ideas, structuring ideas, how to overcome language barriers. You know, we have at the moment this situation where we have on the one side India and on the other side Brazil, structuring new ways for small and medium enterprise structures, and we would love that much more are working together. All these networks are working together, and believe it or not, one of the big barriers are the language barriers. You know, for small, simple ideas or tools, you need to connect to the other. You know, and the what we see now, and this is something I can only talk. It's not for doing promotion for another company, but what we see now is, like solutions which we are enjoying through Akubits Technologies, who are building exactly these tools, things like which we are using in the practice, like my body, like a small AI solutions, which are not filtering billions of informations, but specific to that what you need as a small and medium enterprise, and enable these small groups and medium groups to create strategies for the market without investing millions of dollars, enabling them to simple ways overcome language barrier through bots, communication bots, to artificial intelligence, machine learnings, but as well when it comes to trust. I mean, for a lot of people, maybe it's a marketing tool when we talk about blockchain, but still it builds or it helps us building the basis for the integrity of the informations we are exchanging. And that's not just for payment modes, it is much more for certification, supply chain management, and quality certifications. If I know that the other side already passed a process which I'm requiring for me to be enabled working with him, and he has a certification in his hands which passed through the same way, I don't need to speak so much with him. If the product looks like I have to, and if the price fits, and the possibility and the availability is given, then I can shoot, and we had this big pleasure developing this kind of tools with Akubits and with IBREI. IBREI from the side of really speaking to the people on the market with the real problems, coming with real problems to us, and being in the middle, connecting them to teams of Akubits, and then really creating on a fast, simple way then the solution. And I really appreciate that. And I hope it's not so much of marketing for that what we are doing, but Mauricio was asking me to explain what I'm doing. So I would love to give the word back to Mauricio if that answers your question.
That's great, Millie. Thank you so much for your input. And so let's go directly to Jitin. Jitin's the CEO of Akubits, as Millie said. So Jitin, you're going to talk a little bit about blockchain and how it can foster access to international markets. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mauricio. First of all, and thank you so much for inviting me to this panel. Really appreciate it. And hello, everyone. It's a pleasure meeting all of you here. And I'm very, very excited about this particular panel discussion. As Mauricio and Millie mentioned, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Akubits, which is a global emerging technology focused solutions provider. We are in 11 different markets right now, with over 400 people across all these 11 different countries, and which is just the services side. And we also do investments. So we have a fund which actually invests, does seed stage and angel stage investments in startups. And then we also have a research lab, which is in multiple in 2 different countries, focused on artificial intelligence, blockchain, and biological semiconductors. And with Millie, we're also sending the world's first, I think one of the world's first blockchain ledger to the space. Think about it as the Starlinks for value exchange, right? So Starlinks is more about the Starlinks from SpaceX, right? Which is more about taking internet to the space and making it accessible to everyone every single time, right? But if you actually think about it, we do not have something for value exchange, which is even more key and requires more efficiency, reliability, right? And then security as well. So that is what we are trying to kind of build across the globe, a single network which is extremely secure, so that people can transact from anywhere, anytime, right, through a secure digital channel. So and then a bit about me, perhaps. History of my vocation and vocation probably is AI and blockchain. I fundamentally believe that these 2 different technologies is going to change the way we as a species function, and we as a species represent and do our day-to-day stuff. AI kind of defines who we are and help us at some point build an intelligence just like us, right? Which is amazing if you think about it. For the first time in the history of any species in this planet, we are able to build an intelligence smarter than us, or I don't know, right now dumber than us, but probably smarter than us in the future, which can actually get a lot of things done. And then, the blockchain is a technology which, if you look back, let's just say, 2000 years back, right? And everybody used to transact in person. I go to, if I'm in India and, if I have to US and if I have to do trade in the US, I have to travel all the way to US by ship, perhaps, which takes at least, I don't know, like in a couple of years or in a couple of months, perhaps. And then I go there, do a meeting, right? And then exchange the value. Right now, we do not need that. We all are here, right? We can have a conversation. And what if there is a tool or a technology which can actually facilitate that value exchange without any sort of limits or without having any sort of trust backing into it? So that is what I think, the blockchain is. That is how I think, the blockchain is going to change the landscape, the way we exchange value, the way we do business, right? And cross-border or whatever, right? I think, that's what it's going to change. And there are a few other technologies which I believe would fundamentally change the way we interact and, do business together, right? Blockchain definitely is one of them, which can actually cover a lot of stuff like, trustless transactions, very easy, and value exchange, trade financing, settlements. A lot of countries are actually looking at that, right? Whereas in the past, we had to kind of rely on US dollars or Chinese yuan or whatever to do any sort of transactions. Right now, there are multiple countries, especially in the Middle East and all, trying out direct settlements, right? So that is independence. And that sort of liberation actually brings in more creativity and more business, and that is pretty evident by our current research as well. I mean, PwC in one of their latest research says that by 2030, right, the world GDP would increase by 2% just because of one single technology, and we have barely scratched the surface. Blockchain as a technology is still in its infancy, right? It needs to get matured quite a bit, and there are so many people like Millie, working relentlessly, to kind of push that technology forward. And at some point, we'll actually get over the current constraints, which are the TPS or the slowness of the system, all that stuff, and then will be actually usable and scalable. And then the second technology, the second, I think, domain or the industry which is from a technology perspective is changing the business landscape and making it much close is perhaps the e-commerce, right? Earlier, if somebody had to kind of buy something from China, it used to be really hard. Right now we have Alibaba. You can just click on it, right? And then, you just get it delivered to your doorstep right then, in a couple of days or whatever, which is great. And I think, even that particular domain would be disrupted heavily by, blockchain, because I believe that, we are moving towards a completely decentralized, e-commerce structure where, individual people hold rights and, people can actually do exchange of value or, import or export stuff or goods, based on that trustless system that, blockchain actually provides. And then VR and, the conferencing systems that we have right now, and primarily VR, because I really, really believe that, just like blockchain, VR virtual reality is going to change how we interact and, how we do business. If you think about it, like I said, the previous analogy itself, like thousands of years back, it takes us multiple months or years to kind of get to another continent and do business and come back, right? You just lost 1/60th or 1/70th of your life already just doing one deal, right? Which we do right now, and then we had the airplanes, right? Which kind of reduced it to, let's just say, few hours. Then we have platforms like Zoom and virtual conferencing, which kind of made it even more easy, right? I can sit here, right, and then do 10 meetings every single day, and close 10 deals, which is much easier, right? And that is definitely changing the landscape, but that there is something which is still missing there. So while we were on the pre-panel discussion, Maurizio was telling me that, telling all of us that, he still misses that good old days where he could go to a room, interact with people, build those connections and all that, right? I think, that is what, VR is going to bring to the table. Once that technology gets matured, you put up a glass and, all of us are in the same room, right? You still build the same old relationship. You feel how other person is, his emotions and everything. And then definitely the 3D printing, right? Which I believe would completely disrupt the product market, right? Especially the commodities, all these different stuff. We have the technology is advancing like crazy. We can even print organs with 3D printers right now. So imagine a time which is not so far away from now. You order something on, from your Amazon or whatever, and, it starts printing on your house right then itself. You order something and, you get it right then itself, even if, that product is on the other market. So, I believe that in these products, there would be a massive pivot, right? Manufacturing would become very personalized, even if it's drugs, we see that, trend right now. Food, we see that trend right now. And then, I think, it's going to scale to the other verticals and, other type of products as well, right? And then definitely AI, with which, it's like having a clone of yourself who understands what you need, orders the right stuff whenever you need it, and, give everything at your, give everything even before you need it, right? I think, that those massive transformations, which is going to happen over the next 10 years, is going to redefine how we, transact and live as a species. And yeah, those are my thoughts on how, as a species and, as a methodology, the current landscape is changing. So back to you, Maurizio. Thank you so much for this.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing, Jitin. Thank you very much for all this. And let's move forward. So we have here also the honor to have Michael Ross with us. Michael Ross, which is a global entrepreneur, a professor, and a documentary filmmaker also. And so he will talk a little bit about his inputs on all this that we are mentioning here. So Michael, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you so much. It's really, really delighted. I'm delighted to be here today. I'm coming to you from just outside Los Angeles. And this is such an interesting conversation because it brings together these exciting new opportunities. And I can't wait to order something online and have it print here in my home 3D. I love that concept, and I can see that happening. But we have exciting opportunities to gain access to new international markets by leveraging some of these technological innovations and transforming the landscape. I'm really passionate about helping companies go into new international markets, and I'm also in the global talent industry. So we have seen a big shift of people who historically have not been open to remote teams or working virtually, really not having a choice and exploring that because of the pandemic. So, I think this intersection of creating new types of jobs, requiring new skills to be learned, that fosters additional innovation that we're going to see, and it also demands new supply chains. And all this makes the world more interdependent and connected. So at the end of the day, technology is driven by people so far, right? And I think we can all agree that the pandemic has accelerated the adoption of digital technologies. We can see examples all around it, and my fellow panelists have already shared examples, and there's so many more. Just looking at telemedicine and these remote clinical services offering support through the pandemic, and people embracing that. And we're finding that resistance to tech across many different sectors, and that's waning. And international trade is no exception to that. So with this kind of decentralization of workforce that we've seen, and we have all become experts at running our own organizations at home via Zoom and Teams and other platforms. And what I've seen, as I mentioned, with helping small and medium-sized companies in the U.S. grow by leveraging top global talent and helping them build offshore teams, there's been a shift in the organizations realizing that they don't have to sit next to somebody in the same office to achieve great results. And they need the best talent, they need minimized risk, and they simply need to leverage technology to collaborate and In the past, I think that typically has been what large multinational organizations have embraced. They really understood the value of global teams. But one of my passions is helping to level the playing field a bit by unlocking some of those same resources for the small and medium-sized players and even nonprofit organizations. I believe all are equally deserving, if not more so, of having the opportunity to profitably grow. So that's been really an interesting shift. And over the years, we've seen how having remote teams creates incredible job opportunities in India, in Philippines, where we have offices, Latin America. And while the U.S. office is then able to unlock new ways to grow, they're hiring on both sides of the hemisphere, and it's really really supporting both markets and both communities. So this would not be possible without decentralization and technology. And we can talk later, if you like, about the impacts of that decentralized workforce and what that means for them. But to just kind of piggyback on some of the technology for a moment, I think as I look at the international trade space and trade tech and some of these solutions for facilitating trade that are already being piloted successfully, and again, others on the panel are really working directly with some of that technology, blockchain and AI. But we're seeing it deployed to AI to help with imaging as they're trying to cut down on smuggling, and drones being used within the ports, and blockchain for end-to-end ocean freight transactions, and reducing the time to issue letters of credit by up to 80%, and really cutting down on the payment settlement timeline from 5 to 10 days down to 24 hours. So all of this has a big impact. And McKinsey's Global Institute report, I believe, not too long ago, released 10.1% global increase in GDP. So not only does this affect the workforce, but it has a profound impact on the economy. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Michael. And let's move forward. So we also have here the honor of the presence of Shalab, who is the founder and chief executive officer of Trademo. He's currently based in US. And so please, Shalab, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Mauricio, and thanks to all my panelists for sharing their viewpoints around global trade, for enabling SMBs basically to giving them access to international markets. And it's very interesting that, personally at Trademo also, we have been working with a similar vision on how we can really democratize the access of international markets to SMBs across the world. And we have taken an approach of, again, using technology, especially big data and AI, to solving this problem. So, in fact, whatever we are doing, we highly believe in this. And so I would like to explain it quickly. At Trademo, we are building a global trade knowledge graph. With respect to global trade, especially for SMBs, there is a lot of inefficiency. There is a lot of information asymmetry in the arbitrage. And generally, SMBs today, due to several compliances, last we saw during the COVID times, a lot of compliances changed rapidly across the country, countries. The shipments were lying at the ports; they were not getting cleared. So there is a lot of change, information asymmetry, which becomes very overwhelming for a small business to manage on its own. And the idea of building a global trade knowledge graph is to combine the different data sources which are available publicly or otherwise with different bodies, gather them together, and build a large information resource and an experience like Google for these SMBs to inquire anything and anytime about global trade. So today we are enabling businesses across more than 40 plus countries, which includes small importers, exporters, logistic companies like freight forwarders, even some trade finance institutions, and investment funds who are looking to invest in companies with significant exposure to cross-border trade. And what we are essentially providing them is the real transactional data. Billy talked about certifications which are available in public domain, and that information can be accessed. And it really cuts down the time it takes for any business to take a decision, to identify new opportunities for themselves, to price them rightly, to have more trust in the relationships that they are developing with new business partners. And that is how we see it, that data and AI can solve a lot of trust issues in global trade. And in spite of recent negative press around global trade, a kind of a nationalistic view, I believe that this is the global supply chains which eventually helped us get out of the COVID pandemic, or at least deal with it more efficiently. And this is the time where a lot of technology focus should come around the international trade and cross-border trade. And new age platforms like blockchain around data intelligence should empower businesses, which has largely small businesses have not had access to such kind of tools. So this is what we are working on. And fundamentally, when we look into the cross-border trade, whether it is from the procurement angle or the trade finance angle, there are a lot of issues to be resolved, and I believe AI data can solve those problems pretty quickly. Yeah, Vaishu. Thanks.
That's great, Shalabh. And we are almost at the end of the panel. It's a shame that we don't have more time, because we have so much knowledge, so much content here gathered in the same room, that I would love to spend the whole day here with you. I'm pretty sure we could share a lot. But let me ask you one question that I would love to hear your point of view from all of you regarding this. I've been watching the other panels, and because of the current situation we're living in, and all this health crisis and everything, there's been a lot of doom and gloom about the whole perspectives on the world. And here, basically, we're speaking about how much these new technologies and these new standards can basically reshape everything that we are living. So, what do you think will be the forecast for let's say like the medium term future? Do you think the companies will suffer more because of the current crisis, or this technology can help them to have a brighter future? So will it be more gloomy or more brighter? What do you believe?
Mauricio, do you want me to answer that? At least, share my perspective on it?
Yeah, if you could all say some few seconds about it, I think it would be very nice.
For sure. I think, the short term, at least for the next couple of months, as we've been seeing how the market is actually, behaving over the last few months as well. I think, there will be, the market will be a bit gloomy, right? Because a lot of companies are trying to adopt new technologies and trying to move to the digital era even, right? And even when we are speaking about AI and blockchain here, trust me, more than 70% of the traditional businesses out there are still on, normal paper-based systems, right? Or, paper-based ledgers even. So I think, they're all moving to the digital platforms, right? They are kind of getting used to, the virtual conferencing systems or, digital technologies right now, because at the end of the day, the business has to run, right? No matter what you do, it needs to run. So they are actually adopting technology, which is great. Because, once they do it, right, and, once they understand how to leverage it really, really well, one, it actually brings more structure to your business, right? Two, it actually gives you more visibility from a market perspective as well, given that, you understand how to use it really, really well. Three, there is more efficiency in terms of time. You do not have to travel to Germany anymore, from, let's just say, from, Australia to do business. Right? You can just do a Zoom call and, get that done in 30 minutes rather than having to take a week to travel all the way, be there and spend a lot of time on a lot of unnecessary stuff. So I think
let me cut you there because we have like less than a minute. I would love to hear from the others as well. Sorry, Jitin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But Mauricio, my viewpoint is that this pandemic was a kind of a reset button, which really helped every one of us adopt more technology, and even businesses who have never really used in their day-to-day business, they were more open to technology. So the impacts would be seen in a more longer term, but I definitely see small businesses becoming more efficient, and I think that's the only chance that they can compete in international markets with larger businesses, because now they have tools which have been kind of democratized and given them access to much larger opportunities in a much more efficient way. So
yeah, I also believe in that. Thank you. Michael, what's your point of view on this?
I believe that it's going to take time for some of these technologies to kind of trickle down to some of the smaller mid-sized companies. But I'm pretty optimistic about the future in the coming, I would say, 12 to 18 months.
Okay, that's great. And Millie?
I'm an optimistic man.
You're an optimistic by heart.
Basically, I agree to you, and I see whenever something like this happen. I mean, now it's the pandemic, and it's not the first and not the last time we will face something like this, and every time it's a big boom around that. And I believe in human beings. I believe in our capabilities. I believe that we are using this quality which we developed now through the technological support to make the world a better place, help each other understand each other better, exchange our values, as Jitin loved to say, and that we help each other to find ways out of this and create real values for the planet, sustainable and making everybody happy. I'm an optimist. I believe strongly in that.
That's great. As I said, I would love to spend the whole day here with you, but unfortunately our time is over. So thank you so much for participating. Thank you for all the incredible and top insights that you brought to the table. And I hope to see you all soon. And let's keep in touch, okay? Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Thanks. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.